All right. We should be on air now. Sorry, everybody who might have tuned in a little bit earlier for that bit of retardation there, but I think we got everything going right now. We are streaming, yes, through StreamYard, as I preferred not to do. I wanted to do it through OBS, but that wasn't working out for me, whereas Tuesday's program, it was working out just fine and dandy, but all of a sudden it does not want to work out so smoothly. But anyway, today with me, I have my two co-hosts, Loudmouth Reviews and the Libertarian Native. Say hi, y'all.
So,
new link, everyone. So, interesting article that was shared to me by one of my subscribers, actually. As, well, actually, I'm not screen sharing right now. As you can see on the screen that I'm going to be showing right about now. Come on. Show it. Yes, U.S. issues terror alert over anti-government extremism. Over anti-government extremists, more specifically. And just off of the title alone, I was thinking to myself, this is a very slippery slope right here because, for one thing, what are you defining as anti-government extremists to the point of where that you think that there needs to be a terror alert over them? Like, even if you are somebody who disagrees completely with the Capitol riots, which I think that the Capitol riot was overblown and too soon as far as the actions go done by the rioters. But even if you are like, even have a more extreme opinion against them than me, this is still like a very slippery slope precedent right here, because keep in mind all the ANCOMs who declare themselves to be anti-government. So again, to what extent are we defining as an anti-government extremist that has to be put on some kind of a terror watch list or something like that? Are we going to include ANCOMs? What about anarchists in general? We're just going to like put all anarchists over that because they are very, very anti-government themselves. What about libertarians and conservatarians who want to reduce the size of the bureaucracy and government in general? I mean, that's fairly anti-government in of itself to be wanting to reduce government, I would argue at least. Or are you just talking about neocons and Trumpists and those sorts of people who are anti-government in the way that they do not want the government intervening in their lives, but they want it to be used against other people's lives, et cetera, et cetera? Like, where does it end exactly? This anti-government extremist terror alert goes. And so we're just going to be checking out this article. I had already read it myself, but we're going to be rereading it again. And Loudmouth has left. I wonder why that is. Hope he can join back here soon, although I thought I heard his phone ringing a little bit earlier. Anyway, U.S. issues a terror alert over anti-government extremists. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security declared a nationwide terrorism alert Wednesday, citing the potential threat from domestic anti-government extremists opposed to Joe Biden as president. So, obviously, it's no surprise to everybody that this is more in response to the Capitol Hill riot that had happened like early this year. But keep in mind that not everybody, even not everybody on the right, condoned those riots, that riot that happened. But yet they could still be falling under this category because what I said earlier of them being anti-government in one way or another. Information suggests that some ideologically motivated violent extremists with objections to the exercise of governmental authority and the presidential transition, as well as other perceived grievances fueled by false narratives, could continue to mobilize to incite or commit violence, the department said. So my question is, what do they mean by false narratives exactly? Forget about voter fraud. I mean, that's not the only quote-unquote false narrative that you could be underpinning this. There are other such narratives out there that people would like to call false, just not even looking at election fraud itself. It's a false narrative to be against it that you have grievance with, or IRS, or police, etc., etc. Whatever the government associates, the government officials want to call a quote unquote false narrative, anyways. Jay, did you have any commentary to make thus far?
You're cutting out bad for me.
Hello?
Hopefully I'm not cutting out.
Well, I did not hear you cutting out with whatever background noise that I was hearing.
I find all of this stuff retarded.
Yeah, it is pretty dumb, and it's just another step towards the utter Orwellian fascism that this nation is increasingly becoming. Well, I just looked at the connection from my phone that's been running pretty smoothly. Everybody in chat, what do you think? Am I coming in smoothly? At least the audio, anyways.
Or am I the one cutting out?
Is everyone insane? Says Zachary Colley. The government is what is insane. Specifically, the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, more pre-crime. Wonderful. Exactly. Cat Chat says hi and hello, Cat Chat. Mikhail says hey, everyone. Hello, Mikhail, and hello, Metal Doomer. I thought your headphones were floating for a second. LOL, Cat Chat. Right, because of the black beanie I got on here. Again, can everybody in the live chat, can you hear me very smoothly, or am I breaking out very badly?
Or am I cutting out badly?
Until then, we're just going to continue on with the a little glitchy, but it's okay, says Zachary Colley. All right. I mean, as long as you can hear me fairly smoothly. So, anyway, continuing on. The National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin said a heightened threat of attack will persist in the weeks following the successful presidential inauguration, which took place on January 20th. DHS does not have any information to indicate a specific credible plot, it said. However, violent riots have continued in recent days, and we remain concerned that individuals frustrated with the exercise of governmental authority and the presidential transition could continue to mobilize a broad range of ideologically motivated actors to incite or commit violence. Yeah, and this is not just pertaining to right-wingers and the MAGA protesters that y'all on the left want to be against. This also includes you, leftists. Those of you who are against certain governmental practices anyways. I mean, especially Antifa types, you know. And welcome back, Loudmouth. Yeah, we're just about done with this article right here. But have you been hearing about this by any chance, Loudmouth?
Refresh me.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security declaring, or quote unquote, anti-government extremists. It's more in response to the the Trump protests that became into a riot on Capitol Hill. But it just seems to be overarching this type of order right here.
Right. I mean, it was inevitable the people who breached the Capitol were all going to get arrested, but I am very worried about the long-term implications to civil liberties. Because let's be honest, a lot of the left are extremely vindictive, and they seem to want to punish all Trump supporters, all 74 million of them, for the actions of the Capitol rioters, and which is insane and will destabilize the country.
Right.
It reminds me of those.
Think of the overcorrection.
It reminds me of those teachers that punish the entire class for the actions of one student. It's absolutely fucking retarded.
Yeah, it's going to be a disaster. I think the next few years are probably going to be pretty bad.
Right. who narratives are obviously false. Besides what the truth about anything actually is. Government and mainstream media, says Mikhail. Yep. I mean, it's all subjective, unfortunately enough. Not to mention they no longer have a need for Antifa. They're a liability to them now, says Zachary Call in the chat. Right. Throw them to the wayside like a used candy wrapper. The alert said there had been mounting threats since last year from domestic violent extremists motivated by COVID-19 restrictions, Biden's defeat of Donald Trump in the November election, police brutality, and illegal immigration. DHS said these motivations could remain in place for the coming months and that the January 6th attack by Trump supporters on Congress could embolden extremists to target elected officials and government facilities. More than 150.
Turn your camera off. You're roboting hard.
Yeah, you are.
Shit. How to fix that? Hello.
Better.
There we go.
Okay, so sounds better now.
Much better.
Yeah. I don't think it can handle the camera being on.
Shit. I want. Well, fuck me sideways then, because I want this to be like a high quality show that I host right here, but I don't know. Maybe I have to just wait until the moment of when that I move to a new apartment to actually get a hard internet modem, because with the last apartment that I was in, the internet router was close enough by for me to just hardline connect it into, but because there was like one of the bedrooms on top of the living room as well that both had jacks for me to connect my internet router into. But with this current apartment that I'm in, the only internet jack there is for me to connect my internet router is in the living room. And of course, I'm set up here in my bedroom. So yeah, too long to set up an Ethernet cable. So I went for a wireless internet connection. That's how you're hearing me right now.
Yeah, you're just roboting.
I don't know. I'm going to have to brainstorm some things possibly. Maybe I'll snake a testing. Hear me now.
Yes, I hear you.
Oof.
Hello, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better with your camera off.
Definition of the internet.
Well, I do have my camera off right now, actually. Yeah, Zentone 1000 in the chat singing Jules or Mad World by Gary Jules again. Thanks for that reference, sent one. No expression, no expression. Hide my head. I want to drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. Oh, I gotcha. I thought you were saying no expression as in no expression is allowed in the new 1984 Orwellian-esque America that we have. But either one is true, I guess. Meanwhile, Burn, Loot, Murder gets a Nobel Peace Prize nomination after destroying people's lives, property, and livelihoods, says Zachary. And so,
yeah,
trying to continue on.
What was it? That was something the Babylon Bee predicted a few months ago, and then it became true. It proves that jokes are becoming real, and the world is becoming a giant joke.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, DHS has said these motivations could remain in place for the coming months, and the January 6th attack by Trump supporters on Congress could embolden extremists to target elected officials and government facilities. More than 150 people, including members of armed extremist groups, have been arrested since the attack, which has been branded as an insurrection. The department urged the public to report suspicious activity and threats of violence. That's the end of that article. And I got to say that I don't necessarily, especially if you have the case of somebody trying to confiscate your guns or trample on your constitutional liberties, that I don't really condemn any sorts of, I guess you could say, to put it lightly, forceful retaliation against government entities. But at the same time, I would more understand, I would at least understand the government for arresting people for that. Not that I am for it. In fact, I don't want them to arrest people for trying to protect their own constitutional liberties. I don't want them trying to infringe on people's constitutional liberties in the first place. But for those people, anti-government, but don't take any forceful actions against the government, it could plausibly fall under this with this slippery slope that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has put us on now. Thanks for nothing, Uncle Sam. All right, so I guess moving on here. Robinhood hit with Washington Examiner. So what do you two have to say about this issue? The whole GameStop stock exchanging and trading that Redditors have been doing as of recently, that just got all these corporatist hacks freaked out.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't put $1,000 into GameStop stock last week, because if I did, I'd have over $100,000 now.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that I didn't have any money to put into those stocks as well.
Well, I did have the money. I just didn't think I'd do it. You know, I was so busy.
Hindsight is 20/20.
I know. God damn it.
But yeah, I love this.
But just besides that fact, I fucking love this shit. This is actually one of the most positive stories I've seen in a very long time. This is fucking amazing. This what's a good analogy? You remember that scene at the end of A Bug's Life when all the ants realized that together they had power over the grasshoppers?
Mm-hmm.
This is that.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful coming of realization for everybody.
Yes. You ants stay back. The fact that a bunch of people on Reddit managed to bring powerful hedge funds from Wall Street to their knees like this by basically beating them at their own game is fucking beautiful.
You mean all this time I could have into GameStop stocks and so forth? You tell me that all this time I could have taken $100 or even $10 to invest into the stock market along with all of my buddies and this wider community of people, that we could have crippled Wall Street and even made ourselves rich in the process? I should have known better. But now they're finally doing it, so you know.
Or it's like the end of Trading Places. Remember that? And
I've never even heard of that movie.
Oh, come on. You haven't seen Trading Places? Man, dude, you got to get your head out of the sand, man. That's a great movie. That's a classic, man.
Sorry to disappoint, movie nerd, but one that I'll have to put on my movies to watch list. But anyway, aside from that, you're saying?
Okay, but besides that, the hypocrisy of these bastards claiming that they were manipulating the markets, and they were, but you think these bastards, these hedge funds at Wall Street, they do this shit all the time. They manipulate markets for decades, and they screw people over in the process. Because what they do is they have their allies in the media run basically hit pieces against companies that they deem are probably going to fail. They say that they'll run a story saying that this company is in dire straits, and then people will read that and they'll panic and they'll pull all their money out of it, and it becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And what these guys were trying to do was through a process known as short selling. They were essentially doing the opposite of what most people do when you buy stock. You buy stock most of the time because you're betting on that company to succeed. All right, and you hope that you'll be able to earn a little bit of their profit margins. That's kind of, but of course, it's always a risky thing because if the company doesn't succeed, you end up losing money. So it's a kind of a gamble in that regard. But if you really know what you're doing, you can make good money. But basically, what these hedge funds have been doing is a process known as short selling, where they instead of betting on companies to succeed, they bet on them to fail. What was that? I don't know.
Good. So that's why I did not
cut out
participating. Am I still? Fuck me.
Yeah. Your audio.
Maybe I'll just host the stream and. You know what? I'm going to rejoin, but keep this going. I'll be actually, I'm gonna have to pull up another browser to make sure that I more quickly get back in.
All right. Well,
anyway, I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, basically they bet on companies to fail, and they essentially try to profit off the downturning of various small businesses, which is a very sleazy thing to do during a pandemic. They're essentially hastening the demise of various brick and mortar companies, and they're trying to profit off their demise. So basically, these guys on Reddit decided to beat them at their own game, and by inflating the stock and flooding money from millions of investors into these various stocks that these hedge funds bet on failing, basically is going to end up costing them billions of dollars. I read one estimate that it would cost them various different hedge funds $70 billion. Holy shit!
Mm-hmm.
That's
a lot. A lot of these billionaires are going to go broke.
They probably won't go broke, but they'll probably be at a severe loss. What's awesome is that it's a transfer of wealth here from the wealthy to the working class, essentially, because a bunch of average Joes are buying this shit, and basically, and whereas these ultra wealthy hedge fund brokers are they're getting screwed. And it's beautiful. It is glorious. I find them. I'd like to be Cartman in that episode of Scott Tetterman Must Die. Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness. Yummy, you guys. Yummy, you guys.
It is a beautiful realization for the people.
Yep.
Hopefully we can build off of this and keep it going.
And what it also did was it exposed a lot of these stock market trading apps. The corruption in them was basically laid bare. Yep. What Robinhood did was fucking outrageous, and they should be sued into oblivion for it.
Oh, they have a class action lawsuit presented against them.
They should be sued for every fucking dime they have. They should be run out of business. They should be shut down. They should possibly even be arrested. The idea that, because what they did was beyond despicable. You can't do that. You can't basically artificially restrict people from buying certain stocks just because it upsets your friends at Wall Street in order to try to drive the price down. That's clear market manipulation, and I do believe it's illegal. I'm not really an expert on the law there, but I'm pretty sure that's a crime.
I'm pretty sure it's very illegal.
Yeah. You can't do that shit. And they wouldn't have done it unless they were desperate. This was a move of pure desperation.
And they got caught for
a shit ton of negative press. And they knew it would when they did this, but they must have thought that the costs of not doing it were too high, that they were willing to take all the bad press and all the possible lawsuits. That shows that they must have been desperate, which means that this has been really effective.
Yeah. Showing on my Windows Task Manager that supposedly I have 12 Google Chrome tabs running, but realistically, I'm only seeing one. And of course, it's showing that I have 5 Firefox tabs up, which actually, that's not even true. I got 6, actually. But the Google Chrome is using up the most CPU usage. It's like ranging between 24 and sometimes even 40%.
Well, exit out of your porn, okay? Just focus on...
Yeah, fuck Google Chrome. Stick with Firefox.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, with Firefox, I'm not able to like share audio with you guys when I do like whenever I want to like share audio for doing a video response or something else like that. You know,
I can't for some reason.
you can share audio with Firefox.
Yeah, it's under permissions and
StreamYard?
connections.
Permissions and connections. I'll have to definitely look into that. You know, brainstorm some more. So that
Yeah,
I
it's
can,
up near the taskbar.
yeah, maybe that'll make it so that my OBS will not crap out on me as much. Stop using Google Chrome just altogether, you know.
Yeah, hopefully.
But anyway, in response to all this stuff, Robinhood is trying to like stop people, is trying to restrict at least people from buying or trading stocks in GameStop, and now Robinhood is getting sued over it. So yeah, it's like a full-on market war going on pretty much. Several lawsuits have been filed against Robinhood Financial after the company restricted certain trades on a number of 90s era tech stocks such as GameStop and BlackBerry, which that is odd. Hasn't BlackBerry been like obsolete for a while? I mean, who the heck uses a BlackBerry phone anymore nowadays?
But what was I going to say? What these companies have been doing during the lockdowns, in particular, a lot of these big companies have been particularly despicable. They use allies in the media to advocate these lockdown restrictions and say, you just want grandma to die if you support easing them on small businesses. Meanwhile, these bastards are shutting down a lot of their small competition, and through short selling, they're profiting off the demise of their competitors. Basically, by manipulating the public and manipulating the government to shut down their competitors. This is fucking vile. Like, even if you're a rock-ribbed libertarian who's doesn't care if big businesses get rich, that should piss you off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think that a whole bunch of libertarians, well, I don't know. I would not think that it is like against libertarianism, like monarchism more specifically, for it to be putting restrictions on how much that an individual can donate to a politician's campaign, you know, so they do not like go trading political favors with one another. But of course, libertarians are against the whole restrictions as far as the lockdown goes and other stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything more unlibertarian than Jeff Bezos being able to profit by using the government to shut down his competitors.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking.
Yeah, because he's profiting big time.
This is the most evil thing I've ever seen, and it's in America, and it's happening in broad daylight. And of course, don't forget the CCP's role in it all. These big companies that are crushing their small competitors, they're all tied to China and controlled by China, whereas their small competitors are made in the good old USA. That's another.
Yep.
So not only is this a wealth transfer from the small businesses to big fat cats like Jeff Bezos, much worse than that, it's also a transfer in power from America to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yep. Which speaking of which, I have the fourth article that has to deal with China. But let's power through this article so we can move on to the one that JJ would be more interested in, and then the one you're more interested in, Lamoth. Companies. What? Sorry, what?
I said I'm interested in this too. Like I said, that I'm loving what's going on now.
Oh, right. It's just I understand China to be a little bit more of your forte as of recently, anyways.
But I'm saying. but usually in how it relates to domestic politics and their role in it. Although
Right.
not that I don't care about their oppression of people in China, I do. But more
No
what
shit.
I really want to expose what I really want to expose is how they're corrupting American institutions.
Yep. Companies whose stock prices have exploded in recent days due to coordinated action from an investing thread on Reddit. Brendan Nelson, a retail investor from Massachusetts, filed a suit in the Southern District of New York alleging, among other things, that Robinhood breached the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing with its customers when it failed to announce that it was imposing restrictions on GameStop transactions that would bar some customers from making certain transactions. So not only are they just restricting their users, Robinhood is, but they're restricting their users without them even freaking knowing. So talk about a big old scam, y'all. And, you know, it's funny because I kept on getting all these advertisements and commercials for Robinhood consistently on the radio when I'd be listening to it a lot. Good thing I did not go using Robinhood, right, folks?
Fuck them. I will take the side of Prince John.
Right. On or about January 27, 2021, Robinhood, in order to slow the growth of GME and deprive their customers of the ability to use their service, abruptly, purposefully, willfully, and knowingly pulled GME from their app. The lawsuit reads, meaning retail investors could no longer buy or even search for GME on Robinhood's app. Nelson alleged that Robinhood's actions were done purposefully and knowingly to manipulate the market for the benefit of people and financial intuitions, who were not Robinhood's customers. A second lawsuit filed by Richard Gatz, an Illinois attorney and Robinhood customer, alleged that the online broker continued to allow trading for institutional investors after barring retail investors from making certain transactions not only on GameStop, but also BlackBerry, AMC, and Nokia. So investing into theaters too. Oh yeah, I did hear about that people were also investing into the theater company as well. Right. The halting of trading of these stocks was to protect institutional investment at the detriment of retail customers. Exactly. Gatz wrote, furthermore, this appears to be in lockstep with other securities trading platforms such as Ally Financial, TD Ameritrade, and potentially others. Oh, wah. So the customers, the little guy was able to beat me in the market. Now I have to rig the game against them.
Yeah, they can't be allowed to manipulate the market. That's our job.
Yeah, we're the ones supposed to be crippling the stocks, not the people.
How dare somebody interfere with our malicious attempt to profit off the pandemic and profit off the death of smaller businesses? How dare they?
Yes.
You let one ant stand up to us and they all might stand up.
That famous
Well, now we're standing up and you're fucked.
Was that James Woods who played as the grasshopper there?
No, actually, it was Kevin
Hopper?
Spacey, I believe.
Oh, Kevin Spacey. Okay. I don't know why I thought it was the voice of Hades, but anyway.
Yeah, James Woods was the guy that did Hades, yeah.
Yeah, I just did not know if he did like a Pixar role on top of Hades. GameStop's price surge has been devastating to institutional investors who relied on shorting GameStop for profit. GameStop is one of the most shorted stocks on any stock exchange, with technically more shorts sold than total shares available. When its stock shot up, firms that rely on risky bets, for big payoffs, including Melvin Capital Management, tanked. MCM's value slid 15% in the first 3 weeks of the year. Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, and Charles Schwab, which purchased Ameritrade in 2020, all placed restrictions on certain trades regarding GameStop, with some restrictions having been in place since January 13th. Retail investors on Robinhood were temporarily barred from completing certain transactions involving GameStop at all on Thursday. Looks like Robinhood just stopped supporting GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry, Nokia. Users can close out positions but can't buy more. Now, My question about this, like, I do not know how the stock market works, as I said earlier, but how would this affect GameStop and the companies that are being invested into by the average Joe from the stock market? How would it affect GameStop and AMC if Robinhood isn't allowing the little guy to invest in them anymore? Loudmouth?
It could hurt. It could hurt them, but probably only in the short term. Honestly, limited sales hurt them more than the manipulations here. But
Right.
the dramatic rise in their stock, it could only be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. The rise in their stock would be a good thing for them, but if you're not having people investing into them, that's gonna slow it down, way down, and yeah. So I guess that's the disadvantage of Robinhood restricting people from investing into GameStop. Robinhood issued a statement on its blog emphasizing its goal of democratizing finance for all, but cautioned that recent volatility prompted the broker to introduce certain restrictions. Wow, talk about speaking out of both sides of your mouth, Robinhood. Fucking rats. We continuously monitor the markets and make changes where necessary, the company wrote. In light of recent volatility, we are restricting transactions for certain securities to position closing only. We also raised margin requirements for certain securities. As more restrictions were placed on trades involving GameStop, the price plummeted. After hitting an intraday high of $468, the share price slumped to just $126 before stabilizing around $225, indicating that the measures taken by brokerages to mitigate risk and address volatility ended up introducing more volatility than before. All right. The Washington Examiner reached out to Nelson's lawyer and Robinhood for comment. Okay, it doesn't seem as to whether or not that they've actually responded. So maybe we're going to hear a word from Robinhood themselves.
Their explanations will be complete lies.
Yeah.
Just play that. Why the fuck you lying?
Yeah, they're gonna pull shit out of their ass and try to pass it off as fact.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you there won't be any truth to any of their explanations. I believe their CEO already tried to explain himself, and everything he said was total bullshit. He said that we're restricting trades for the benefit of our customers. Nobody believes that. If you believe that, you are a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense to me. Is it going to raise the price and people in the games and whatnot somehow?
It's for the greater good. The greater good. How is this for the greater good? The greater good.
Right. Hot Fuzz. That's the name of that movie, right?
Yes.
I have seen that movie. Let me tell you, Loudmouth.
Yeah, that's a favorite of mine. I love that one.
Hot Fuzz is pretty good.
Hot Fuzz is fucking hilarious. It's genius.
Myth Cuttlefish says in the chat here, honestly, GameStop needs to die either way. They just shouldn't die by those short seller assholes. By the short seller assholes, I'm pretty sure she means
I completely agree.
But yeah, let me just say for the record, vintage stock over GameStop, y'all.
Yeah.
Vintage.
I think like smaller game shops should exist. I don't like the idea of Amazon driving them all out of business.
Yeah, no monopolies.
So yeah, not that I'm the biggest fan of GameStop as a company, but still, I'll support them just to stick it to Amazon.
Yeah, yep. I mean, as much as these big retailers are a little bit of a blight in their own kind of way, they're not as big as a blight as an internet retailer, that being Amazon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on to the third article right here, them.us. Let me just say for the record here that I've never heard of this website right here, and I'm almost kind of sketchy, me personally.
I am too.
This was so originally this article, or there was actually, I don't even know if it was an article. I think it was like a screen cap or something. Was it you who shared it, JJ?
Yeah, someone sent a screenshot of an article about this in one of the other servers I'm in, saying that it was disgusting, and I agreed. until I did further research. I'm just like, and it's just like it's kind of a slippery slope. It's not really good or bad.
Right. It was. Oh no! It was you who sent it in my server. You came across it and then you shared it in my server. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gone reading more into it and you found this article and I decided to feature it in today's episode. JJ.
Yep.
But anyway, looking at the details of this, the tweet that you had shared, though, it was like accusing this guy right here, Mr. Stube, I guess is his name, Representative Stube, calling him a pedophile basically because of wanting to do genital exams on trans women to make sure that they do not participate in biological female sports. And like, yeah, I can understand the potential that it would be kind of almost pedophilic, or it would be high potential for somebody who is attracted to little underage girls to take up a role of genitalia examination, and they might get a little bit of a arousement by that, you know?
And may attempt to do something.
I'm not going to go there.
But you know what I think that the solution to that is? Do not allow transition surgery at all for anyone underage. Full stop.
Yeah.
So therefore, we would not need these quote unquote genitalia examinations at all, no matter what your view be, for underage trans girls.
Right.
Like put up the air quote.
In terms of them in sports, though, the issue is that do they have an unfair advantage over biological female athletes? Yeah, they do. They do have an unfair advantage. It's undeniable. If you went through male puberty, you'll have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it's because men generally, because there can be exceptions, have higher muscle mass and bone density than women.
Exactly.
Although I'm not going to lie, a little bit earlier this week there was this one delivery girl who was like a pretty big gal that delivered some pipes over to our shop.
But
Ronda Rousey?
No, it's bigger than Ronda Rousey.
Actually, they've shown that the average male, a man of mean strength, is stronger than 99.5% of women.
Mm-hmm.
So
You said 99.5%?
99.5%. Just in terms of like hand strength, the difference is pretty massive. Like the whole opening jars cliche, because men do have massively stronger hands. Because they actually believe that hands are one of the most sexually dimorphic features on humans, because hands likely evolved for combat. And since men obviously get involved in fights with each other and in combat far more than women do, they would naturally need much stronger hands.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
LMAO, even men are better at being women than women. Thanks, Biden, says Cuddlefish in the chat.
Well, yes, Biden. Yes, the joke. Yes, Biden Thanos away women with a stroke of his pen. They no longer exist, and that means if women no longer exist, then who? Then they must be gay. Oh no.
No need for feminism at that point, right?
Yes, women no longer.
It's a win after all.
Oh god. Zachary Colley also says regarding the bill, too little, too late. The damage to ladies' sports has been done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It has. Yeah.
So getting into the deets of this article, though, Republicans push a congressional bill to ban trans girls from school sports. The vaguely worded legislation could force students to undergo genital exams to compete in school athletics.
That seems.
Excuse me.
Do you really need to do genital exams or determine things like that? You don't really need to do that.
You can just
it's not
look
required.
at them like.
Yeah, I think that's not. I think that's complete bullshit. That is absolute. That's nonsense. They're just lying there.
Like
they might be doing this to defamate him.
Yeah, that's like a fake concern right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this now that I think about it, this might be more of a blog post than an actual news reporting. This news,
this whole thing sounds like bullshit. I think this article's nonsense.
Yeah, now that I'm reading through it more clearly, yeah, it just seems to be just a slander campaign against him.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this article shouldn't even be read. It's trash.
my question is, okay, maybe I'll read it later or something. But my question is that actually what's happening, or are you just being hyperbolic and borderline slanderous in this? To the writer here.
No, a left-wing article that dishonestly misrepresents their opponent's positions. Never seen that before.
So, what do you two think? Do you think that we should just move on to the China trading article?
Yeah, let's just go ahead.
All right. I might look at this. I might look at this myself on my own time, folks, and then I'll give a very quick summation of it in the next episode of Strike Force. But for right now, from tariffs to Uighur genocide, Biden opts to follow Trump's lead on China. This is according to Washington Examiner. Now, if that title was from like any other news site, I'd probably be very skeptical of it. But this is Washington Examiner right here. They're more like on the right, but they're like a fair... okay, generally speaking, they are more on the right, but at the same time, they're a little bit more fair in their reporting. Like, for example, they reported about how Kavanaugh, a Trump appointee for the SCOTUS, was pretty much anti, is it Fifth Amendment? Dang it, I feel bad. I can't remember.
I think it was Fifth Amendment.
Anti-privacy, basically. In all unbiasedness, they reported on that. So it just goes making me wonder, is this one of them cases of Washington Examiner being extra unbiased so as to end up being charitable to the left in a sort of way, or Democrats in general?
Yeah, I was listening to when Ted Cruz grilled one of Biden's communications nominees on asking to confirm that they'll keep Huawei out of American 5G networks. She flat out refused to commit to it. That's scary. Like, that should scare the living shit out of all of you. You do not want Huawei in our communication networks. Because, yes, Huawei shares data they collect with the Chinese Communist Party, with the Chinese military. Their CEO just flat out lied. He actually claimed in an interview with, like, I think it was Good Morning America or something. This was on China Uncensored. He's like, that he doesn't share data with the Communist Party. I'm like, you fucking liar.
It's total bullshit.
It is total bullshit because it's written very mandated in Chinese law that all communication companies in China are required upon request to share any information they gather with the Chinese military. All right, that is part of Chinese law there, and even if it wasn't, there is no rule of law in China. Basically the only kind of rules there are you do what the Chinese Communist Party say or else. So if they
disappear.
Yeah, if they request it and you say no, you're fucked.
Yeah, the only law there is the arbitrary word of the Communist China, the Communist Chinese Party member, specifically Xi Jinping. That's
right,
the only
depending on their rank in the party, their power. But ultimately, though, there is no rule of law there that restricts what the Communist Party can request of you. The government of China is subservient to the Communist Party, not the other way around.
Fifth Amendment. Okay, this is 1000. Fifth Amendment is right to not say things inciting to criminal activities without an attorney. Okay, yeah, I fucked that one up. It might be Sixth Amendment or Eighth Amendment. I'd have to look back at my pocket constitution. And third is where government cannot post soldiers or other agents in a citizen's home without consent or court order. All right. Well, thanks for the bit of education right there, Sent One.
The Third Amendment's probably one of the most archaic amendments in the Constitution. It's one that rarely comes up in the modern world.
Obey, poo, or get Epsteined.
Obey, yes, exactly.
Anyway, so get into the details of this article. Exactly how hard is Biden going to be on China? Maybe this article will tell us. President Biden's first week in office was largely focused on rolling back many of former President Donald Trump's policy priorities with the stroke of a pen, except when it came to China. Oh, really? From economic to foreign policy, Biden's early posture toward Beijing mirrors that of his predecessor, at least as his administration finds its proverbial feet. After running a campaign focused in part on moving on from Trump's hardline America First populist governing philosophy, some of the new chief executives' top aides have said the 45th president was right to push tougher policies toward the Asian giant, even if they disagree with his rhetoric or some tactics. On Monday, for instance, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, how do you pronounce that, told reporters 25% tariffs Trump left on $250 billion worth of Chinese imports would remain in place, while Biden's team continued evaluating them as part of his multilateral approach to engaging with China. That Biden is keeping them even temporarily is notable, given that he has used over 30 executive actions since January 20th to undo parts of his predecessor's legacy to which the new administration most strongly objects. Biden condemned Trump's trade war with China during the campaign, though he did say in a town hall that he would rely on a similar tactic to counter coal exports if need be. But during the transition period, he said he wouldn't change Trump's levies immediately because he didn't want to prejudice his options after the inauguration. So he's just slow with it. It's not that he is going to be tough on China, quote unquote. It's more like he is being slow to, opening up relationships back up with China. At least theoretically speaking, anyways.
You can't trust Biden, so he's probably going to side with China.
But I doubt he'll openly side with China. What he'll probably do, which could be just as dangerous, is he'll probably simply look the other way on a lot of China's actions and only take half-hearted measures against them. Pretend like he's opposing them, but really do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all he has to do, because the Chinese Communist Party is incorporated so many institutions around the world. They have so much institutional power in this country, in Canada, throughout Europe. They really only need to be left alone and let their power to fester. They don't really, and not be actively opposed for them to continue their conquest of the world.
By the way, I think you might have been the one who...
because, let's be...
JJ? I think that for a second there, you might have been... hello?
I hear you.
Cutting out. Hello?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't cutting out.
Yeah, it might be just Zach.
No, I hear him just fine.
No, I think it's you, JJ, because at that one moment, that one split moment of where you almost interrupted Loudmouth, I think that's because your internet kind of cut out on what you could hear of Loudmouth for a second there. Just a little FYI.
Yeah.
But you were saying about the issue, though, JJ?
Okay.
What were you saying about the issue?
Let's be honest. I don't expect Biden to be in office for too long. Let's just say Kamala is going to try to take him out.
Mm-hmm. Sentinel 1000 says, at the Dark Conservatarian, I think you wanted the Ninth Amendment, which is the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people, but I could be wrong. Yeah, no, that's not the one. I'm talking about the one that was in dispute over the Kavanaugh hearings, or at least the more substantive side of the Kavanaugh hearings.
The right to privacy.
Anyways, yeah, the right to privacy. That was what I was trying to refer to.
I believe that'd be the Fourth Amendment.
It is? All right. Then, okay, continuing on with the article, though. Then Psaki, whatever, suggested last week there was common ground on Trump designating China's treatment of Uighur Muslims as genocide. The position was later confirmed by the Washington Examiner. That agreement was less surprising given Biden's campaign had called the unspeakable oppression of Uyghurs at the hands of China's authoritarian government genocide. But what are you going to do about it, Joe? That's my question. And his now Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, made the same determination last week during his confirmation hearing before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. President Trump was right in taking a tougher approach to China, Blinken said. I disagree with very much with the way he went about it in a number of areas, but the basic principle was the right one. What do you mean you disagree? Like him calling the CCP virus a Chinese virus? And others harsh rhetoric like that. I mean, screw that. I mean, that's basically why a lot of Trump's base liked him. And even some people outside of Trump's base liked him.
Why didn't anyone object to that? It's undeniable fact that the virus only became a pandemic because of the Chinese Communist Party.
Mm-hmm. If I may play devil's advocate, it's because people will associate that disease with Chinese people in the United States, so they think it'll lead to more violence between them, which I won't outwardly deny, but I'm not going to agree to it wholly either.
Well, that's why I prefer CCP virus than Chinese virus, but still.
I just call it the China virus.
The Chinese Communist Party virus is what I call it.
Nice.
But I don't think anyone would associate that with with Chinese Americans or even with the general Chinese population. They're doing it to call out the Chinese Communist Party's actions and allowing the virus to spread.
Mm-hmm. The government's not doing that.
Yep.
However, people did attack Asians in the beginning of 2020 when COVID did come in.
I'm highly skeptical that any of those assaults were really anything to do with COVID. I mean, it's just kind of inevitable in high crime areas that people get assaulted.
Yeah, they probably
people are going to be Asian. It seems unrelated.
Probably just
Maybe.
People in the media decided to sensationalize those little anecdotes a little bit more in rise of the coronavirus in order to try and smear people for it.
Almost
lie about and smear people for it.
Assaults happen. I'm sorry. Particularly in high crime areas, there's going to be assaults.
Kung flu, beer
Possibly.
bug.
That's
Lol, the Poe flu virus. Hey, that's being mean to Poe. Poe did nothing wrong. He was the dragon warrior, for crying out loud.
Or Winnie
the Pooh virus.
Well, he said Poe as in P-O, so
yes.
P-O.
I said I like calling it Winnie the Flu.
Winnie the Flu. All right. Anyway, Biden sticking with some of Trump's China policies was foreshadowed by Kurt Campbell, his newly appointed Asia czar. Again with the czars. Like I remember that back during the Obama administration, that he kept on using the term czar for a lot of his appointees and whatnot. Now we're back to it.
He's a commie.
So it's looking kind of like that. My mom was right. Like Biden's term might turn out to be basically Obama's third term.
Oh, that's undeniable.
Oh, it's inevitable. He's already starting to bomb the Middle East again.
Yeah.
More democracy projects, I guess.
Yeah, right. Gotta love killing innocent women and children with airstrikes.
You will accept democracy or die.
Our democracy, which isn't really democracy.
Right. In an interview before Biden's win, Campbell, in a personal capacity, described an appreciation in Asia regarding Trump's moves in the region. I've found myself in a couple of senior briefings, in which I've said, look, there are some things about President Trump and Asia that we should look at carefully, Campbell said. I can tell you that sometimes when you say things like that, it's not viewed necessarily particularly well. Okay. 1 second.
Okay, the Tai Lung beer pong.
Tai Lung. Tai Lung. Is that? I can't remember. Was that the name of the snow tiger from the first Kung Fu Panda?
Yep.
Right.
Skadoosh.
Shifu taught you well, but he didn't teach you everything. Anyway, the whooshy finger hold. You're bluffing. You're bluffing. Shifu didn't teach you this.
Oh god.
All right. Enough of that silliness, though. And see you later, Zachary Colley. He added, it's almost as if it's seen through a loyalty lens, and that's really where mistakes occur, in which you are unable to appreciate that there will inevitably be areas of continuity, and there should be. Biden's perceived wishy-washy stance towards China was scrutinized during the campaign. The main gist of the criticism was that he has repeatedly downplayed the threat posed by the country's communist regime. Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's the thing with rhetoric. I mean, and sometimes rhetoric and words matter, not outside of policy. Sometimes rhetoric does matter.
I remember during the debate between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, and she couldn't even bring herself to condemn the Chinese Communist Party without bringing up the orange man bat. I was so... Yeah. So, no, I definitely don't think that they understand the threat the CCP poses.
Yep. As a 36-year senator and a 2-term vice president, Biden has generally argued that, as he wrote in a 2011 opinion piece, a successful China can make our country more prosperous, not less. Boo!
A successful
Gross.
free China. Hold on. A successful free and democratic China could. A successful communist authoritarian China cannot.
Exactly.
Authoritarian China will kill us all.
Wasn't there somebody in the recent year that some campaign spokesman for Biden also uttered the same words, loudmouth?
Yeah, actually, one of our staff advisors said that Chinese growth is good for America. It's insane. How can anyone say that given that's controlled by the same regime that is currently has 1 million people in concentration camps, probably closer to 3 million people in concentration camps, and are actively sterilizing them and bragging about it on Twitter, which doesn't violate Twitter's rules. Remember, they canceled the president of the United States, terminated his account for so-called threatening violence, but the Ayatollah,
even though he did say that they should be kept peaceful.
even though he did say they should be kept peaceful, but the Chinese Communist Party is for some reason given numerous accounts to spread state propaganda and lies abroad and defend genocide. There was this one tweet from their embassy that was fucking unbelievable. They bragged about how Uighur women no longer were being liberated from being baby making machines, and taught a new way of life.
Oh my
AKA,
gosh.
they tortured these women and they sterilized them.
Oh my good lord.
Which is worse, to have your clit cut by the Muslims or to be sterilized by the Chinese?
Oh, definitely
take the cut
sterilized by the
clean.
Chinese. That tweet was abominable. That tweet was something. If Twitter was around in the 1930s and the German Nazi Party had a verified Twitter account in 1939, that sounds like some shit they would have tweeted. That tweet made my stomach turn. It was absolutely monstrous.
Did you see any people call that out on Twitter?
What?
Did you see any people in their comments calling them out and shit?
Oh, plenty. It was ratioed to no end. The ratio on it was like 10-1, and everyone was calling it barbaric. But of course, it was reported numerous times, and Twitter didn't take it down, even though they take down the president and his allies all the time for so-called instigating violence, even though Donald Trump never instigated violence or told anyone to be violent. But That tweet apparently doesn't violate their rules. And this is amazing that Twitter allows this, because Twitter's banned in China among the Chinese people. The Great Firewall prevents users in China from accessing Twitter without a virtual private network. So basically, these foreign propaganda accounts, they're not for the Chinese people. They're for us. They're to spread propaganda and misinformation abroad.
Yep.
And why does Twitter allow it? How much money is Twitter losing from the fact that the Communist Party bans Twitter users from using their services? I'm sorry, that bans Chinese people from using their services in China. They probably lose billions of dollars from doing so, but they don't seem to care.
Right.
They still seem to be do nothing but kiss the rear of the Chinese Communist Party and allow
bootlickers,
propaganda accounts, verified accounts, to spread their nonsense abroad, to outright lie, to claim that the virus came from the U.S. and other things. They frequently outright lie on their accounts.
Yeah.
And they never get labeled, this is misinformation, this claim is disputed. No, their claims are totally undisputed. It's hilarious.
Right.
Freaking bootlickers, man.
It's a fucking the world we live in, man. It's a fucking clown world, man. I'm losing my mind, man.
Right. And Zachary calling in the chat, he says, I was saying it to Cuttlefish. Oh, well, in that case, my bad. See you later, Myth Cuttlefish. Zachary Colley is still here. And he also says, is there anything that can be done about China? I can't think of anything.
Oh, yes, there is. There's a lot that can be done about China with short of direct war. So the best way for America to punish the Chinese Communist Party is by punishing American businessmen who do business with them.
There should be like I don't know, a list of criminal organizations, and if you do business with these criminal organizations, then you are to be fined or even arrested.
Yeah,
and a lot of Chinese organizations would be falling under that list.
Bob Iger, Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook. Why the fuck are these guys not in prison? We've essentially legalized treason, because what the tech industry has done, what the entertainment industry has done, is effectively treason, but they're allowed to do it. You have powerful entertainment companies censoring our movies and entertainment to get released in China. There's dozens of changes in big budget movies that were only made to get their movies into the China market. They're censoring American entertainment to appease them. And what the tech industry is doing is much worse. That Great Firewall that prevents people in China from accessing the outside internet, built by Microsoft and Cisco, built by American companies who gladly took China's blood money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is much as illegal. You crack down on these companies, and you have delivered a massive blow to the Chinese Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I am free market, there needs to be sanctions against China.
Yeah.
Because it's literally hurting people. And as much as I am libertarian, I can't allow more people to get hurt.
What? And Wall Street are also another celebrate Wall Street going down. It is the way they are is because millions of Americans' 401ks or retirement investments through companies like Lehman Brothers and Goldman Sachs are being funneled into Chinese companies, and most of the people with these 401ks have no idea it's even happening. So the invasion force that is gathering outside of Taiwan, it's possible, folks, you're paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I would have to think further in my exact policy position, I guess you could say, in regards of response to China. That is not outright anti-libertarian myself, but
that's why I don't identify as a libertarian anymore. To be honest, there really isn't any way within the libertarian framework to stop this. It really does require a massive government crackdown on numerous massive companies. And
Well, keep in mind that libertarianism is not outright is not anti self-defense, and the question would be, or retaliation to wrongdoing such as murder and rape, etc. So the question would be, how would this be falling under some kind of philosophy like along those lines?
I'd say it does. I mean, I'd say openly profiting off a genocide definitely crosses the line, and that's what they're doing. Let's not forget that the Walt Disney Corporation literally shot a $200 million movie next to a bunch of concentration camps and thanked the organization that's been oppressing the Uyghurs in the credits of their shitty movie.
What a bunch of fucking idiots.
That was such a scumbag move, and it was a terrible movie too, but that's another issue.
Right. But we've beat that bush so many times.
Yeah, we've already beaten that bush, but fuck that movie. It was so bad. It was such a bad movie.
Okay. Marv in the chat. Crypto is centered on Robinhood by forcing people who deposit to wait 3 to 5 days to settle their funds before they purchase. However, you're free to buy normal stocks. The game is more exposed. I had at least 5 coworkers interested in Doge and got them in Robinhood today, but all cannot buy yet. I was able to make decent coin on Gamestop stock and took my gains into Doge and made more, but they are stifling us by changing the rules, much like the election. So, and by the way, Marv in the chat there, thanks for tuning into the program. And we kind of moved on from the whole GameStop issue just right now, just a little FYI.
Marvin says libertarianism.
Right, yeah, he says libertarianism doesn't work and won't work in a country as big as ours. It's ridiculous to have that neoliberal mindset now when they are willing to cheat and buy us out. Personally, I don't like to use the term neoliberal. I realize because there's just, I don't know. The definition of neoliberal.
Libertarians are not neoliberal.
Right.
They are classical liberals.
There's the way that far leftists use the term neoliberal to define center leftists or centrist plutocrats like Hillary Clinton and so forth. And then there's also the other neoliberal definition, that being basically another synonym of libertarianism. I really prefer not to use it.
Neoliberals are Democrats.
I need to correct a point I made. In terms of in terms of Zachary Colley's point, in terms of the filming next to, maybe not right next to a concentration camp, that may have been exaggeration, but it was in the general region where China is engaging in these mass detentions. It probably wasn't like right next to them, like where you could see one in camera view. No, probably not.
Oh, good Lord. Marvin does not understand politics. Classical liberal like Sargon? No, not like Sargon.
No, we do not think of... Okay, that's more like Dave Rubin, if anything. Sargon tried to start the liberalist movement. But no, not like Sargon, because Sargon, as far as I know, he still advocates for a higher minimum wage, and I don't think he's abandoned his principle in regards of single payer. So no, not like him.
He's politically illiterate. Ignore him.
I think he falls kind of under a pseudo-nationalist vibe, I'd probably say.
Yeah. I mean, there is...
Kind of, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, but there's a whole lot of beliefs that I don't agree with him on, which is why I don't say no, not like Sargon Marvin. But anyway.
I think you're right, Marvin.
Nothing against the guy, but yeah, probably fair memorable.
Just ignore the politically illiterate people.
By the way, everybody, I do not condemn all comments that are made on this podcast. Just little FYI. As a former Senate Foreign Relations Committee chairman, he's supported permanent normalized trade relations with China and backed admitting it into the World Trade Organization in the 1990s and early 2000s. And as a presidential candidate and nominee, he's equivocated on whether China is competition for us. Despite Biden's soft gloves, China presents his administration with the problem as he and his staff seek cooperation on issues such as climate change, while also wanting to denounce unfair trade practices and human rights violations. There is, though, some consensus among Democrats that the party should have been tougher on China during former President Barack Obama's tenure, including from Obama himself, according to comments he made during his recent book tour. But Republicans are skeptical of Biden's willingness to exercise strategic patience, an Obama-era phrase more frequently applied to North Korea. What we've seen over the last few years is that China is growing more authoritarian at home and more assertive abroad. And Beijing is now challenging our security, prosperity, and values in significant ways that require a new U.S. approach, Pisasky said Monday. Biden, the same day, reinstated the ban on non-citizens traveling to the United States from the United Kingdom, Ireland, Europe, Schengen area, and South Africa. He also extended a prohibition on travelers from Brazil. You're being racist towards Latino Americans, you fucking Biden. How dare you? Anyway. Conservatives quickly blasted the executive action as xenophobic fear-mongering, parroting rhetoric Biden used against Trump's response to China amid the coronavirus pandemic. I spoke too soon because apparently there are people who already pointed out that it is freaking ironic for Biden to be saying this. Yeah.
It's very ironic.
Anyway, Biden signed...
Like rain on your wedding day.
Yep. Biden signed a presidential memorandum this week, too, condemning anti-Asian racism after a rise in harassment and violence during the pandemic. An increase in incidents have been reported as nicknames for COVID-19, such as the China virus and Kung flu, became popular, in part thanks to Trump. The outbreak first emerged in the central Chinese city of Wuhan.
Oh, wow. We're calling out the flu for coming from a country that literally oppresses its people. Wah.
But even ignoring the fact that they oppressed their people, they became a pandemic primarily because while the virus was raging in Wuhan, the Communist Party restricted people from Wuhan from traveling to other regions of China, but they allowed international travel. They allowed people to fly out to other countries from Wuhan, but they couldn't go to other cities in China. How do you interpret that action as anything other than them deliberately trying to infect the world?
Yep.
They wanted us to get it. They wanted the rest of the world to get it because they figured if we have to deal with this virus, so do you. All right, because they didn't want to take the hit while other countries were fine. So every single person who's died of this virus all around the world, all were killed by the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, not to mention the big time fear and division that China has tried to spread amongst other nations over this issue, the coronavirus and whatnot. It's not about freedom, y'all. Yes, it is about freedom. Oh, you just want people to die. Oh, you just want small businesses to die. And by the way,
you want people to go run out of money and die on the side of the street because you're too scared of your grandma dying.
All right. So
even though it's not likely.
Addressing the chat again, Marvin says, "I like you guys, but don't get so mad and call me illiterate just because you don't agree with me." By the way, just to clarify, I wasn't getting mad at you. I mean, I was being a little bit stern, but I wasn't getting mad, really.
I don't think.
And I wasn't mad either. It's just I'm pointing out a fact that you are politically illiterate because you are, in fact, lying about our stances.
Don't do it.
JJ, I think you are being a little bit too heavy-handed now.
Yeah. JJ, you are. Yeah. You need to calm down.
I mean, it's one thing for a person to be like ignorant and maybe being an assumptuous jackass, and then it's an entirely different thing for them to be politically illiterate. Just my opinion, anyways. Anyway, hey guys, what's going on? Says Memes of Destruction. Hello there, Memes. How are you doing? So is Biden never going to force China to shut down wet markets? Marvin says. Well,
not a chance.
I don't see how that would even be technically possible. Anyway, moving on with the article. And Biden's Commerce Secretary designate Gina Raimondo would not commit Tuesday to keep Huawei. Is that how you pronounce that?
Huawei, yeah.
That because that is definitely not Hawaii. It almost makes me want to say
Huawei, it's called.
All right, JJ. I guess we'll see you later then. As he says he's going to take out of here. Anyway, Huawei on the U.S. entity's blacklist after Trump deemed the Chinese telecom company a national security threat. For Brookings Institution's Daryl West, whose expertise lies in artificial intelligence, robotics, and the future of work, there were similarities between Trump and Biden's China policies, but there were sharp differences as well, he said. Trump's approach to China was completely impulsive and chaotic. He made decisions with no sense of tactics or strategy, and the results were not very effective. He told the Washington Examiner, Biden shares his predecessor's view of being tough on China, but will do so in a more systematic manner.
That's just partisan bullshit.
Right. I mean, I kind of doubt it, but
Yeah,
I mean, if your gripe is about rhetoric, well, that seems to be a very trivial thing to be going on against Trump about.
right. Basically, that's saying, oh, we're going to do the exact same thing he did, but we're just going to do it better because we're better.
Yeah.
It's childish bullshit right there.
And by the way, Marvin in the chat, are you really subscribed to my channel? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen you before. Just curious. So continuing on to the next subject, I guess I've been hearing that Ben Shapiro posted an article at Politico, and some Politico staffers are having big issue with that, or had big issue with that.
Yeah, because they're a bunch of psychotic children who really can't handle even the slightest difference of opinion. Literally, all he said was the media throw fits and try to silence conservatives. They're like, how dare you say that about us? We're going to throw a fit and silence you.
Yep. Excuse me. The social justice mob has arrived at Politico. This from Washington Examiner. A prominent conservative was given a small temporary space to say something at a major publication. So naturally, it was only a matter of time before the group therapy sessions for liberal journalists would commence.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's that first snide paragraph right there. It's rich. At Politico, that time is now. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. When I first read this title, for some reason, I read Politico, but then I thought PolitiFact for some reason, because some of y'all in my subscriber base know of how much I don't like PolitiFact, because at best, they're just really pedantic and semantic with their articles in order to try to grasp at straws and gain brownie points in a sort of way to say that a conservative is either mostly untrue or half untrue or just completely flat out lying, or they'll completely be lying themselves in order to accuse a conservative of being lying. But this ain't PolitiFact, though. This is just Politico. So let's see what the Washington Examiner has to say about Politico. The Daily Beast reported Tuesday that more than 100 staffers, holy shit, at the Washington, D.C. based newspaper. Oh. Politico is based in Washington, D.C. I did not know that. That probably explains why they're so establishmentarian and leftist in their rhetoric, but I digress. Had sent a letter to publisher Robert Albritton, if that's how you pronounce it, complaining again about author Ben Shapiro's authorship of an edition of Playbook, the company's widely read daily newspaper. Oh, wah. So they gave Ben Shapiro just a brief moment of light on their a time to shine on their website. Big deal. It's not like that Ben Shapiro is going to be a regular editor or anything like that for freaking Politico. I don't even think he wants to be a regular editor over there. He's got his own, the Daily Wire. He does a lot of appearances at Fox News and other places like that. Anyway, And 100 people, that's how childish people are being right now. That makes me give up on humanity.
Journalists, man. I mean, you really won't find a more detestable group of people outside of ISIS or China than in the average journalist office. They are really detestable. The garbage that these guys print, it's just amazing.
Marv in the chat. By the way, Ben Shapiro keeps stating that the election was clean and fair. It turns out the executives that owns him and other center-right podcasts threatened them to stop saying the election was stolen. As far as owning him, I doubt that. As far as I only heard him say that he thought that the election was overall fair, or if there is any fraud, there isn't enough fraud to swing it completely towards Trump's favor without the fraud anyways. I mean, if you are saying that Ben Shapiro really was peddling a narrative, or peddling, for lack of better wording, really was trying to sell a narrative that there was enough fraud out there to be considerable to swing it one way or another between Biden and Trump. I mean, link the episode of Daily Wire. Otherwise, I just have to press X to doubt.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro never said that the election was stolen. He never made that claim. Even early on, he was one of them saying, "Yeah, it looks like Trump lost."
Yeah, and that's my thought too.
Honestly, it was pretty obvious within like a couple of days after the election. It was pretty obvious Biden pretty much had it, and Trump's options were limited.
So you never really bought that there was election fraud, or at least enough to have actually swung Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin and Georgia.
I always was highly skeptical of it. When I heard Sidney Powell's grand conspiracy claims, I'm like, okay, those are some serious allegations. Let's see what evidence she had. We'll see it in court. And she didn't even use a lot of the claims from the press conference in court, which proves that she knew the claims were probably BS. And I also figured, Dominion voting, with all the shit they're saying about them, geez, those guys are going to sue a lot of people if there's any truth to it. And the fact they haven't sued, maybe there's some truth to this. And then they started filing lawsuits. I'm like, yeah, I doubt they'd be filing lawsuits if they thought there was any truth to it, because during the discovery process, that would all come out.
Yeah, I don't doubt voter fraud, me personally, but I just my biggest doubt is that it would have actually been able to swing it one way or another.
Yeah,
and just ultimately, I personally have given up on it.
I'm the same. Yeah, probably wouldn't have. It would have made much difference. I'm not saying there was no voter fraud whatsoever. There probably was, but I'm saying it probably wasn't enough to swing it. Yeah.
All right. In the note
that's why it was absolutely moronic of Trump to continue stop the steal fraud as long as it was, and you can see the disastrous results of it all.
No. You know what was even more moronic was Lynn Wood saying that people should not participate in the Georgia runoffs.
Either Lynn Wood is like some kind of Democrat operative, or he is a genuine lunatic.
Well, I wouldn't go so far to say he's a Democrat operative, because he was the defense attorney for Kyle Rittenhouse and helped do the suing case of Washington Post on Nick Sandman's behalf. So,
but I'm saying the guy, the dumb shit, unhinged shit that guy said, man, the guy seems unstable, like legitimately unstable. Yeah, he got banned from Parler before Parler went offline for threatening the vice president. He's nuts.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm not for Twitter's bannings, but if they had just only done it to Lynn Wood, I would have said fine. Because Lynn Wood, he crossed the line.
So, yeah, because a 3-hour pause on vote counting on election night was totally not suspect. I mean,
it was suspect. It was definitely something that should be investigated. But is it like definitive proof of a massive amount of voter fraud to sway the election? I don't think so.
Ben and Michael Knowles from Daily Wire were stating there was fraud, but after the 3rd of January, they changed their tune. I know I am subscribed to them. I cite the freaking episode of Daily Wire. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on doubting.
Actually, I remember actually Matt Walsh. I mean, he was saying after Sidney Powell's conference that he was skeptical of the claims. Even Tucker Carlson was, you know, so. And people were saying Tucker Carlson sold out, which was nonsense. No, the claims really didn't have much foundation. There wasn't much to them. And I understand it was really suspicious the way the votes were done. There was no reason why votes should have still been counted a week later. India, okay, the world's biggest democracy, they have like 4 times more voters. Well, probably not. Probably like 3 or so times more voters than we do. They had all their votes counted in one day. There's no reason why votes couldn't have all been counted in one day.
Mm-hmm.
There were some problems in the way the election was conducted, no question. But does that amount to enough voter fraud to have swayed it? Yeah, probably not.
So do you guys really think this election was legitimate? Honestly, I think it was legitimate enough to where that it would not have okay. How do I put this? I think it was legitimate enough to where that Biden would have won anyway, even without whatever cases of voter fraud are to be found.
Right. And honestly, I'm not going to say definitively I think it was legitimate. I'm just saying I haven't seen any good evidence that it wasn't.
I mean, I'm suspecting enough of the stuff that went down in Georgia, but I don't know. Even then, it's more of a suspicion I have. It's not actual hard evidence.
And I'm angry at Trump, not just for like the whole dumbass riot that happened after, but because I think if he had thrown in the towel a month earlier, the Republicans would have kept those seats in Georgia. I'm pretty convinced of that. His campaign attacking the Georgia GOP probably cost them the race there. So it was So I'm furious at Trump just for that reason.
Trump was trying to campaign for the Lafleur and Purdue, though.
Yeah, and listen to those rallies. He talks much more about himself than he does about the people he's campaigning for.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just not how he is, you know. I don't think there's really any defeat that he could have suffered that he would have accepted. I'm sorry. I just think that's his character. I don't think he can accept defeat.
Right. Mr. Merchant in the chat asks, am I the only one who hasn't heard of Parler or Q before Capitol Raid? You're probably one of the few, Mr. Merchant, because I personally have heard of both QAnon and Parler before the Capitol Raid. I mean, I've been hearing about QAnon ever since the beginning of the Wayfair stuff and the pedophilia allegations lobbed at Tom Hanks. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I definitely think Q is probably BS. It's not. It all sounds like nice stuff.
Right. So anyway, to continue on. In the note to their publisher, the report said the Politico staffers called for a commitment to clarify and improve the outlet's editorial standards, an increase in newsroom diversity, an editor's note on Shapiro's edition of Playbook, and an internal apology for the decision to publish the provocateur. I mean, they want a more diverse opinion. I mean, what's to apologize for that?
These people are loathsome and pathetic. They really are just terrible people.
You fucking snowflakes. And by the way, Marvin in the chat, yeah, I'm not eligible for super chats yet because I haven't hit 1,000 subs yet. That's the story there. I mean, spread my channel around, help me to get to 1,000 subs, and then I can start doing super chats. Yay! But anyway, Shapiro was just one of a cast of high-profile figures in political media who had been chosen to author the newsletter for a day in which he said nothing remarkable other than to give an explanation for why the vast majority of congressional Republicans did not support impeaching former President Donald Trump. Oh, the horror! The horror! It's like you not advocating for the jailing of literal Hitler. How dare you?
I mean, Trump, if you watch the rally, he told them to be peaceful when they marched on the Capitol. I mean, I think a lot of his actions were stupid and disgraceful, but he didn't tell them to storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he objectively did not. You read his statements, nowhere does he tell them to do that.
Well, a lot of people would say that it's not objective because he was dog whistling, loudmouth. He was dog whistling was what he was doing.
Well, I do have serious objections with a lot of the shit Trump said, particularly the way he attacked Mike Pence there was fucking despicable and disgraceful.
Right.
He implied the vice president has the constitutional authority to nullify electoral votes. No, he doesn't. The vice president does not have that power anywhere in the Constitution. It is embarrassing that he would make that claim. Either he has no clue what the Constitution says, the document that he swore to uphold when he became president, or he was just lying his ass off.
Yeah.
So,
it's actually funny because I've been listening to a lot of Adam Friended and PSA Sitch. I mean, a good portion of their commentary on the Capitol riots and the fallout from it and whatnot. And apparently, they kept on talking about how that there was a phone call that Trump had with Pence in which he called him a pussy. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were just making jokes and jabs about that. The idea of Trump calling Pence a pussy. What are you a big pussy, Pence? Are you a big pussy, Mikey?
What's really sad is I could actually see that happening. I can actually see that being true, which is really fucking sad.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, Trump did a lot of things I liked. I agree with many of the policies he implemented, particularly on China, but there are deep flaws in that man's character.
Yeah.
He is just deep down a very petty and narcissistic and oftentimes very childish individual.
Well, at least he ain't narcissistic enough to look at a reflection of himself until he starves.
Yes, glad you've been reading up on Greek mythology.
No. I just remember listening back on the freaking podcast, the one episode of Dark Sanctum in which you were talking about Greek mythology. That was it.
Yeah, you remember that story where Zeus ate his first wife?
Tell me about that later. But anyway, for that transgression, staffers are now demanding race quotas. What the? Oh, fuck. Hey, guess what? They were trying to get their race quota in by having a fucking Jew post at their website. So shut up. They're doing it, and yet they were doing it with the wrong person. You go throwing a big hissy fit about it. Apologies and disclaimers from the outlet's top editor. It wouldn't be a surprise if they got all of it. A spokesperson for Politico only said that they were handling it internally. But this episode isn't unique to Politico, and it's not especially rare among the national news media at all. In just the past year, staffers at the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times have made similar demands and were met by management that all more or less agreed to the terms. Of course, Washington Post, I would expect nothing less from them, but that's even more reason for me to not like New York or Los Angeles Times. And we're met by management that all more or less agreed to the terms, even if not with immediate action. It even happened at the Wall Street Journal where staff on the news side complained about certain views printed in the opinion pages, but the editors on that side told them to take a hike. That's social justice in action, claimed to have been aggrieved even by just the very presence of a person you disagree with, and then demand compensation. Welcome to the party, Politico. Yep. God. How dare you have different opinions? And this just reminds me so much of the arguments that I'd be having with my quote-unquote friends on Facebook. Of course, these particular people are, some of them anyways, are no longer friends, but they'd be bitching and complaining about the fact that I just respond to their political posts. I disagree, and here's why. They'd be all like, please don't respond to my posts ever again.
Why would you post political shit online and then be angry when people reply to you?
Exactly. You post politics on a public feed, you are inviting yourself to disagreement. Fuck stick.
Grow up, man.
Tell that to all of my Facebook friends. Well, some of them, anyways. There are some who welcome disagreement, but some of those people who just outright discourage or even make bratty, petty demands that I just stop are just fucking children, fucking snowflakes.
Yeah, this story with them losing their shit over Ben Shapiro's article, and his article wasn't even like, there was nothing really inflammatory about it. It was like just saying, you shouldn't blame all conservatives for the Capitol riot. You should, you all right, and conservatives shouldn't be silenced everywhere. How dare you? Ah.
I mean, did I ever tell you about the time? Actually, no, I did not. There's a time recently that I actually got disagreeing with one of my friends' Facebook posts, and I was arguing with her friends about it throughout, and then going more towards the end, she ultimately said, "No offense, Zach, but your mom should have swallowed you."
Unfriend that bitch.
No, I don't need to. They blocked me. Like, I wasn't even throwing any insults. I mean, I was being kind of blunt at some certain points and maybe slightly passive aggressive, but I did not go throwing any outright insults. And yet, just because I go disagreeing and insist to espouse my disagreements with people on politics, on abortion, then that must mean that I should have never been born, apparently. Fuck them.
Yeah, the poison in some people. My God.
Really?
That's how a lot of the left are, man. They're really nasty and poisonous and vindictive people. That's just how they are.
All right. Anyway, to the live chat there, you have fun arguing with each other. I'm just probably going to look over a lot of the chat comments unless there is like an actual comment directed more towards me or Loudmouth. But anyway, continuing on with the next issue. New York Attorney General says governor may be undercounting COVID-19 nursing home deaths by 50%.
You know, when I compared his leadership to China, I didn't realize how on the mark I was.
Really?
Maybe not to China's extent, but still, there's so many parallels.
Yep. A new report released by the New York Attorney General suggests that the Cuomo administration has been undercounting the number of nursing home deaths related to COVID-19. The report states that preliminary data based on an investigation of 62 nursing homes suggests that COVID-19 resident deaths associated with nursing homes in New York State appear to be undercounted by the Department of Health by approximately 50%. The New York Department of Health has been accused of undercounting the number of COVID-19 nursing home deaths because the DOH only counted deaths that occurred in nursing homes and excluded the deaths of residents who were transferred to a hospital. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit.
Cuomo is disgusting. He is absolutely despicable.
Okay, those people who die in the hospital, it is still by fucking result, of Cuomo's fuckstick actions of just way he's transferring the elderly between nursing home and nursing home. It doesn't matter if they died in a nursing home or in a hospital. If they contracted the disease because of Cuomo transferring them from nursing home to nursing home, it still counts, or it should count anyways. Fucking idiotic.
Yep.
According to the Attorney General report, preliminary data obtained by the Office of Attorney General suggests that many nursing home residents died from COVID-19 in hospitals after being transferred from their nursing homes, which is not reflected in DOH published total nursing home death data. Of the 62 nursing homes examined by the Attorney General, 55 nursing homes had discrepancies in their data. The Department of Health reported 1,229 COVID-19 deaths related to those facilities, but the Attorney General found 1,914, a difference of 55%. Governor Andrew Cuomo has also faced stiff criticism for his handling of nursing homes during the coronavirus pandemic after his office issued an executive order in March 2020 requiring nursing homes to accept residents who had been discharged from the hospital after being hospitalized for COVID-19. perhaps they still had traces of COVID-19 in their system. And so therefore they spread it to all the more healthier elderly folk, and that just, inflates the stats as far as cases go and COVID-19 deaths as well. Critics contend this put other nursing home residents at risk for the virus. The Department of Health has pushed back on this, releasing a report in July claiming that residents sent back to nursing homes were no longer contagious.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
That is some bullshit right there.
So let me see if I can pull this up. All right. Absolute degenerate in the chat. I'm not surprised by that in the slightest. Cuomo is a complete basket case. Indeed.
But maybe his brother can interview him on CNN and they can straighten things out.
Yeah. It's a dynasty. It's political dynasty is what it is.
That is what it is right there. Shows how it shows how America is a ruling class that's from Wall Street, from the major news media, and in politics. How it all works together.
The Cuomo.
There's no more naked example of that than Andrew Cuomo being interviewed on CNN by his own brother,
just for him to suck his dick.
Hey, incest is wrong. Okay, or everyone agrees to it, which means I won the debate.
I love that you made that reference to Loudmouth. I love you, man. Straighten things out, more like damage control for Andrew. LOL says absolute degenerate. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, okay, I go on a whole lot about how that all the pro-lockdown advocates, they like to downplay the violation of liberties in regards of what is happening in the lockdowns of their advocacy of the lockdowns and so forth. Like, not only is there just a damaging of our liberties, but apparently the lockdowns are, ironically enough, causing their own damage to, as far as people dying and so forth, as well as damaging people's liberties. So lockdown advocates, it's kind of working against, the anti-lockdown people in both ways, not just one way. I mean, you want to talk about deaths, lockdown advocates, take a look at this shit. Not only do you have Andrew Cuomo being a big old scumbag with his lockdown advocacy and legislative actions in regards of the lockdown and whatnot, but you also have children who are starving because their parents cannot any longer work, or at least projected to starve anyways. An article that I read months back anyways. And also the rising poverty overseas as well in third world countries. Now, granted, they do not have as much of a sophisticated welfare program, which you could argue, if you're going to be like a pragmatist or utilitarian or whatever, that this is evidence that they need a more sophisticated welfare system. But it's better that they be working and feeding themselves than for them to not be working at all and unable to feed themselves, with whether or not the welfare system exists. I mean, yeah. It's just utterly ridiculous, the world we live in. But yeah, that was all the articles that I had to read, Loudmouth. Is there anything that you have to say in summation? And as far as
good selection of articles. What else can you say? Fuck Wall Street hedge managers. Fuck Andrew Cuomo. Fuck the Chinese Communist Party. Who am I missing? Fuck Joe Biden.
Fuck Homeland Security for, the first article, we were not so passionate. We were just like getting ourselves warmed up, but all the same, fuck Homeland Security for issuing like terror alert for anti-government extremisms.
I mean, that one I'm not going to condemn them for because I don't know all the details, though.
Well,
I do acknowledge the risk of them taking things too far. Okay, but at the same time, anti-government extremists, they do exist.
Yeah, obviously, I do agree. And if an anti-government extremist is going to take their anti-government activism so far as to start killing people who hadn't technically harmed anybody themselves, well, then that is where I say that it definitely goes too far. But my concern about that article, about that story, is the government overcorrecting. They're taking it to the extent of saying,
I'm not going to go as far to say fuck Homeland Security though over it.
Yeah, take it so far to say that if you are like for abolishing the EPA or OSHA or FDA or anyone else like that, you're an anti-government extremist and therefore you should be put on a terror watch list or something.
Yeah, that shit's insane. You have a right as an American citizen to have opinions on that.
Yep. Yeah. And by the way, thank you for saying that it was a good selection of articles. I try my best. And by the way, Loudmouth, if there are any articles at all that you want to recommend, and this goes out to everybody listening as well, if you have any articles that you want to recommend that I cover on this program, by all means, link them to me in the comments section down below, or if you're in my Discord server, link them in the Strikeforce News channel. And of course, you, Loudmouth, will link your articles that you recommend to me and over DMs and so forth. I mean, it's the whole reason why I have you as a co-host, dude, to recommend shit that we cover on the show.
Yeah, I usually just work all week, so I don't really like pay much attention.
Yeah. And might I say as well, you and me, we bounce off of each other very well on this program when you and I get on Strikeforce. I mean, I kind of wish that you were able to join a little bit more often.
Well, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. Like I want us to be the next Mahler and Rags or the next PSA Sitch and Adam Friendhead, except neither of us would be Adam Friendhead because we aren't a dumbass partisan hack.
Because neither of us would ever kiss No BS's ass.
Exactly.
Yeah. Guys.
guys, right. The Dave Rubin quote.
No, that was from Adam Friend. This hilarious picture I remember after that debate. They had an animated PSA Stitch chasing after Brooks with a folder that says evidence. Explain all this. Brooks is like, no, debates are gay, and Adam's behind them saying, guys.
Right.
That was funny.
Yeah, and by the way, Marv in the chat. Oh no, I'm being ignored. You guys won't get far acting like weak pussies. See ya. Well, piss off, dude. Maybe JJ was right to start throwing insults at you. I mean, if you're going to act that way. This is a little FYI to people who watch my show. I'm not going to be able to address every single live chat comment. And if you are going to be just arguing with yourselves, well then, by all means, argue with yourselves, but I'm most likely not going to address all the live chats arguing with yourselves because it's not relevant to the topic that we are currently on in the contextual time and situation of this channel. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just a fact of the show. If there's a chat comment that you so desperately want us to address, well then, yeah, I'll just have to hit 1,000 subs and then you can donate super chats and that'll guarantee me to definitely read it. Yeah, Marvin, he's just anyway, somebody get Marvin if it's oh god, no. Mr. Merchant in the chat says anti-government extremism. Okay, centrist referring to the government. The government calls people extreme while dropping bombs in the Middle East for decades. Ironic. Precisely, Mr. Merchant. So by the way, to kind of rewind a little bit on this show, you got talking a little bit earlier about Zeus eating his first wife.
Yes, his first wife was Titan Mira, who he wedded after.
Whoa. He married a Titan.
Yes, a Titan woman. It was meant to have peace with the remaining Titans, the ones he didn't condemn, the ones who were neutral in the war.
Right.
While she was pregnant with him. Oh, sorry, pregnant with his baby. She said that she got a prophecy that said the baby would grow up to be greater than him. Zeus was terrified at hearing that prophecy, so he ate her.
Yeah.
The baby was born in her gut, and eventually migrated to his brains, and many years later caused Zeus a splitting headache in his head. So Hephaestus helped relieve his pain by grabbing an axe and splitting Zeus's skull open, which since he's a god didn't kill him. And the goddess Athena.
The goddess Athena?
The goddess Athena. Goddess of wisdom.
Wait. Oh, no, wait. It's Hera. Hera is the sister who Zeus married. God.
No, yeah, Athena was his daughter who came into the world by having Zeus's head split open.
Wow.
And who was born in Zeus's intestines. Greek mythology is weird.
Well, what happened to the Titan, though?
She faded. I guess she into thought, basically. She kind of died as much as a death as a god can die.
Right. I got a question, though. Aren't the Titans all related? Like, aren't they all siblings?
Basically, kind of the godly evolution of Greek mythology. The first gods were the primordials, and they gave birth to the Titans, who later gave birth to the Olympians, the Olympian gods.
Doesn't this mean that Zeus made out with his aunt?
Kinda. Yeah, and I mean, Hera was his sister, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, what the fuck is it with Greeks' fascination with incest?
I don't know. Greek mythology is all kinds of fucked up. You have horror. You have, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of incest, bestiality, all kinds of horrible shit in those myths.
Ugh, and a lot of it that Disney doesn't even want to show.
Yeah, the Disney version isn't too accurate.
Right.
Though I'll still love James Woods as Hades.
Right.
Yes, because James Woods is awesome.
The megalomania that be James Woods.
Yes. Even though he's absolutely nothing like the myth, but it doesn't matter.
And I thought the pharaohs were messed up, says Zachary Colley. Yeah. I mean, didn't Cleopatra make out with her own brothers?
Possibly.
I mean, okay. The only way that I know that is from the epic rap battle of Cleopatra versus Marilyn Monroe. And Marilyn Monroe was all like, I had some ugly dudes, but you're forgetting the others. Marlon Brando and the Kennedys while you fucked your own brothers. I mean, take it for what you will. I mean, it's epic rap battles of history. I mean,
yeah, I remember also some idiot on Twitter was saying that that Greek mythology shows that ugly dudes can easily get laid because Hephaestus was married to Aphrodite. They didn't really finish that story, did they?
I guess not. It was probably some like one of those more passionate, more rabid incest, or excuse me, incels is what I meant to say.
What I'm saying, what is this? If you actually read the myth, though, Aphrodite cheated on Hephaestus with Ares. All their kids were not Hephaestus's; they were bastard sons of Ares from adultery. Yeah, Aphrodite is another messed up origin. She was actually the first Olympian.
No. I remember you telling me on the episode of Dark Sanctum that she was born of a Titan scrotum and sea salt.
No, what was it? The primordial scrotum, the primordial god of the skies.
Okay.
When Kronos threw his father, Uranos, the Titan of the skies, testicles into the sea, they combined with the salt and created Aphrodite, the first Olympian, goddess of beauty and love.
Okay, it was a primordial scrotum, not a freaking Titans. Question: what's the fucked up morals of Aphrodite, if I may ask? Because you gone laying out a whole bunch of morals, fucked up morals, with a whole bunch of other Greek characters on that episode of Dark Sanctum. But what's some of the more fucked morals shown within Greek mythology by Aphrodite?
Well, I mean, the first human woman was modeled after Aphrodite. She kind of aided in Zeus's plan to give all kind of pain and suffering to the mortals. You ever hear the phrase "open Pandora's box"?
Right. Are you saying that Aphrodite was one of the people, or one of the gods who instrumented humanity's downfall with the Pandora box?
Yes. Yes, though Zeus was the main arbiter, but yes, Zeus put suffering, pain, depression into all these Actually, they were jars. I don't know where the phrase Pandora's box came from.
And Aphrodite helped him with it, huh?
Yes. Well, like I said, Pandora was modeled after Aphrodite. She looked like Aphrodite, which is why when all the human males saw her, they all lost their minds. Though then again, with Aphrodite, her looks, depending on the myth, her looks shift. One of the things about her is she would always be, whenever any man looked upon her, she would always be their individual perception of the most beautiful woman in the world, which varies a bit from man to man. But no matter what his perception would be, that's what Aphrodite would look like.
Didn't Kronos, by the way, you spelled Kronos wrong, Ivan's son. It's with a K, not a CH. You're spelling Kronos like Chronosphere from Red Alert. But anyway, didn't Kronos eat his children until Zeus killed him? Well, he didn't technically kill him, but yeah, that's a thing.
Yes, Zeus ate his children. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kronos, he ate his children.
And then Zeus slashed Kronos' guts open and cut him into a dozen pieces and threw him into Tartarus.
Correct. As revenge. That's why in the Disney movie, Hades, the plot of the movie involving Hades wanting to unleash the Titans is total bullshit. Hades probably would dislike the Titans more than anyone. Because he was one of the gods who grew up inside Kronos' gut.
Oh no, but this is Greek mythology for babies, though.
Correct.
Anyway, I think I might end this stream right here. What all do you have to say to the audience before we go off air, Loudmouth?
Stay free, stay healthy. Fuck the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Fuck a whole lot of shit. And thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, I'm probably going to do a bit of a schedule change. I mean, I know that originally, or for a little bit, I've been trying to get shift in every Tuesday and Sunday. I'd be doing Strike Force News, but I think I might do it every Tuesday and Friday instead. And every Sunday, I'll do an episode of Dark Sanctum on my secondary channel because, want to end the weekend on a more high note, a more happy note. And, the shows on the secondary channel are a little bit more happy-go-lucky, more amusing, and more fitting for that. Anyways. But yeah, there will definitely be more to come. So if you like this show, tune in next Tuesday. And yeah, I guess I'll see you all later. Have a good night and a good weekend. And God bless you all. Peace.